The movie begins in 1984 with a boy named Donnie, who is still a middle school student. We see him at school walking with his classmates, telling them that he is not interested in any girls his age because he is in love with their teacher, Mary. The moment he sees her passing by, he cannot stop staring at her or resist her beauty. He goes to her carrying 2 movie tickets and asks her out on a date so they can spend time together. He tells her that he loves her and hopes she will agree to go out with him because he dreams about her all the time. Teacher Mary gets upset with him because he is still a young student, and she speaks to him very directly, telling him that she cannot be with him because he is her student. She decides that she has to punish him by making him stay after school, and she personally supervises his detention. But later, we discover that she is attracted to Donnie as well. She keeps punishing him for several days just so they can stay together alone in the empty school. Eventually, they begin a relationship and fall in love just like Donnie had always dreamed, secretly staying together without anyone knowing. When Donnie tells his classmates, they cannot believe him. Over time, Mary becomes unable to stay away from him. At the end of the school year, the school holds a party attended by students and their parents. During the celebration, as soon as the curtain opens, Mary appears on stage with Donnie, and everyone sees them together. News of their relationship spreads across the city, and everyone starts talking about Donnie, who suddenly becomes extremely famous. But Mary is taken to court because of what she did and because she had a relationship with one of her students, who was still just a child. When the judge orders her to admit her guilt, Mary refuses and says that she truly loves Donnie. Then we discover that she is pregnant with his child, leaving everyone shocked and unable to believe what they are seeing. Because of this, she is sentenced to 30 years in prison. At the same time, Donnie becomes the most famous child in the world because of his relationship with the teacher who became pregnant by him. Everyone talks about him on television and in newspapers, and he appears in shows and commercials, earning a lot of money. But as time passes and Donnie grows older, he wastes all of his money and drinks heavily until he becomes poor again. He also owes a huge amount of unpaid taxes from the money he earned years ago. He is about to go to prison for 3 years unless he pays $45,000. When he goes to his lawyer friend, he asks him to find any solution because he only has $20 left. The lawyer says he has an idea and suggests that Donnie bet the $20 on a race taking place in the city. Donnie agrees because he has nothing left to lose. Before he leaves, the lawyer suggests that he ask his son, Han, for help. Han is the son he had with Mary. But Donnie refuses because Han left him a long time ago, and they no longer have any contact. We learn that Han cut ties with him as soon as he grew up and graduated. He never wanted to see him again because of the scandal involving his parents and all the humiliation that came with it. We then go to Han, who is now a successful adult with his own company. He is also about to marry the woman he loves, Jamie. We learn that she comes from a very rich and famous family, and newspapers are constantly talking about Han's company and upcoming wedding. Han becomes worried that his father might discover his address through the news because he wants to stay away from him forever. Back to Donnie, who keeps drinking and thinking about how he will pay the money he owes. By coincidence, he sees a picture of his son in the news and learns that he is marrying a girl from a wealthy and famous family. He decides to ask him for help before he ends up in prison. But then he is shocked to discover that his son changed his name from Han to Todd. Todd even tells people that he is an orphan and that his parents died when he was young. Donnie realizes that Han is trying to erase him from his life completely. We then see Han preparing for his wedding while Jamie introduces him to her relative Chad, who appears to be a very serious and intimidating man. Chad warns Han that if he ever hurts Jamie, he will destroy him immediately. Meanwhile, Donnie continues searching for someone to help him financially and decides to visit a famous TV host named Morgan. Donnie reminds Morgan that he played a major role in making him famous years ago when he frequently appeared on his programs as a child. Morgan agrees to meet him and is shocked by Donnie's appearance because he has not seen him in years. Donnie asks him for money, explaining that he needs $45,000 or he will go to prison. He tells Morgan that people no longer remember who he is or what happened back then, so he suggests doing a TV episode with him and Mary to remind everyone of the scandal. He says the episode would attract huge attention and make them famous again. Morgan agrees to pay him $50,000, but on one condition: the episode must be filmed inside the prison because Mary is still incarcerated, and Donnie's son Han must appear as well. Donnie knows Han would never agree to appear with him after everything that happened, but he has no other choice. He decides to visit the address he saw in the news and meet his son. When he arrives, Jamie answers the door. Donnie introduces himself and says he came to congratulate Han. Inside, he meets Jamie's family and introduces himself as Todd's father. Todd laughs nervously as if Donnie is joking because he had convinced everyone that his parents were dead. He tells them that Donnie is just an old friend he has not seen in years. Donnie starts joking around and talking with everyone, and they all enjoy his personality and sense of humor. They become so fond of him that they invite him to stay with them until the wedding. Todd becomes furious and takes him into a private room, demanding to know what he wants. Todd tells him that after all the scandals he caused during his childhood, if he came looking for money, he would not get a single dollar. He also says he never wants to see him again. Donnie laughs and lies to him, claiming that Mary is sick and will have surgery at the beginning of the week and wants to see him one last time. Todd refuses to believe him and says he is obviously lying. He says there is no way he will go to prison before his wedding day. Todd angrily explains that he finally escaped from him and never wants to see him again because he was a terrible father. He says Donnie used to leave him alone eating sweets all the time until he developed diabetes. We learn that Donnie's neglect caused him to become overweight as a child, and everyone used to mock him for it. Todd says he wants to have a successful life of his own, far away from him. He orders Donnie not to speak or embarrass him while staying with the family and tells him to change his clothes so he will look decent in front of Jamie's relatives. Later, Todd meets the guests and talks with his boss, who admires Todd's success despite all the hardships he faced and offers him a partnership in a new company. Suddenly, Donnie appears wearing a ridiculous suit completely unsuitable for the party. He keeps joking with everyone, and all the guests end up liking him. When they ask him how he met Todd, Donnie invents a story, saying that one day he saw Todd at a train station trying to retrieve a sandwich that had fallen onto the tracks just as a train was approaching, and he heroically saved his life. Everyone laughs while Todd becomes increasingly irritated. Then suddenly, one of the guests recognizes Donnie and tells everyone that he used to be the most famous child in the world. Todd's boss remembers Donnie's story and asks him about his son, and Donnie replies that he has not seen him in years. None of the guests realize that Todd is actually his son. As everyone continues talking nostalgically about childhood memories and the teachers they once admired, Todd becomes extremely uncomfortable, gets up, and walks away. Todd's friend from school tells the guests that Todd originally chose him to be the best man at the wedding, but after seeing Donnie and the relationship between them, he says that no one would be better than Donnie to stand beside Todd as his best man. Donnie becomes extremely happy and starts talking about how touched he is by their trust in him and how proud he is to stand next to Todd at his wedding. After finishing his speech, he notices a sports field nearby and suggests that they all change clothes and play for a while. All the guests know how to play except Todd, who admits that his father never taught him how to play sports when he was young, causing everyone to laugh at him. Later that night, Donnie overhears Jamie arguing with Todd because he forgot the wedding flowers, and she demands that he take care of it immediately. Donnie tries to talk to Todd and understand why they were fighting. When he enters Todd's room, he finds him showering while still wearing his clothes. When Donnie asks why, Todd explains that it is because of a tattoo Donnie gave him when he was little. As Todd grew older, the tattoo became distorted and ugly, and everyone who saw it laughed at him. Since then, he has never taken off his clothes in front of anyone. Donnie tries to cheer him up and make him laugh, but suddenly Chad walks in and assumes they are roughhousing for fun. He joins in and takes the opportunity to hit Todd because he secretly dislikes him. Donnie then sneaks up behind Chad and hits him on the head, knocking both of them unconscious. When Todd wakes up, he finds Jamie trying on her wedding dress. She tells him that Donnie is a very strange person and that she dislikes him because he talks too much. She says this is probably the reason his own son does not speak to him. Todd asks why she would say that, so she shows him a message Donnie wrote in the first pages of the books that were handed out to all the guests. When Todd reads the message, he sees that his father wrote how much he misses him and wishes they could speak again. Todd becomes emotional and feels that his father may actually be sincere. The next morning, as soon as Todd wakes up, Donnie tells him that he needs to be brave because women do not like weak men. He says Todd should stand up to anyone who disrespects him, especially Chad, who constantly mocks him in front of Jamie and even hit him the night before. Todd decides to try listening to his father's advice for once. Later, they go to the church to arrange the wedding ceremony, but Todd argues with the priest when the priest mentions Todd's dead father. The priest tells him to stop whining about his father like a little child and humiliates him in front of Jamie. Todd decides to do what Donnie told him and stands up for himself, but the priest punches him. At that moment, Donnie jumps in and defends his son by attacking the priest, which gets all of them kicked out of the church. Donnie then blames himself for everything that happened. He explains that Todd has been afraid of churches ever since he attended his grandfather's funeral as a child, which is why he gets so nervous there, and that everyone should support him instead of mocking him. Everyone believes Donnie and sympathizes with Todd. After that, Donnie suggests having the wedding ceremony by the lake instead, and everyone happily agrees. Later, the men decide to throw Todd a bachelor party, and Donnie goes with them. But when he discovers that they plan to spend the day at a spa preparing for the wedding, he becomes annoyed and says that this is not a real bachelor party. He insists on taking them to the nightclub where he usually spends his nights. They all go there together and have an amazing time. Todd experiences partying like this for the first time in his life and feels as if he is hanging out with a friend instead of his father. Eventually, Todd's friends decide to leave. After Donnie drives them home, he continues the night alone with Todd, introducing him to experiences he has never had before and trying to make up for all the time he failed to spend with him as a child. When they finally return home, Todd tells Donnie that he agrees to go with him to prison to visit his mother, Mary. But Donnie refuses to use his son for money. He tells Todd that Mary is feeling better now and no longer needs surgery, so there is no reason to visit her. Donnie would rather go to prison himself than exploit his son again. He helps Todd inside the house, but Todd is completely drunk and unaware of what he is doing. He stumbles into Jamie's wedding dress, knocks it to the ground, and ruins it. The next morning, Jamie wakes up screaming and crying over the damaged dress. She blames Todd for everything and orders him to take it to the cleaners immediately so it will be ready before tomorrow's wedding. Todd takes the dress to the cleaners, but on his way back, he changes direction and decides to visit his mother in prison instead. He calls Donnie and tells him what he is doing, so Donnie rushes to the prison as fast as possible before Todd discovers that he had planned to use him and televise the reunion for money. Donnie manages to reach Todd before Mary comes out and tries to convince him to leave. But then Mary appears, overjoyed to finally see both her son and the man she still loves after all these years. She tells them that her greatest wish has finally come true. Suddenly, while they are sitting together, Morgan the TV host arrives with his camera crew to film the reunion between Donnie, Mary, and Todd. Todd instantly realizes that everything had been planned by his father. He understands that Donnie did not return because he loved him but because he wanted to use him for money. Furious and heartbroken, Todd walks away. Afterward, Donnie returns home alone to pack his belongings after losing his son all over again. He also loses the money Morgan promised him because Todd refused to allow the episode to air. But before leaving, Donnie overhears Jamie talking on the phone. She says that Todd will never discover what they have between them or what they are secretly planning together, even after the wedding. Donnie decides to wait until the wedding party that night to tell Todd that Jamie is cheating on him. He does exactly that, but unfortunately everyone overhears him accusing her. Jamie admits that she was talking to someone that morning, but she claims it was only a journalist from a famous magazine who wanted to publish exclusive honeymoon photos of them. She explains that she kept it secret because Todd hates being photographed and that she intended to tell him after the wedding once the photos had already been published. Todd believes her, making Donnie look terrible in front of everyone, and he gets thrown out of the party. Later, Jamie goes to a hotel where she plans to stay until the wedding the next day. At the same time, Donnie feels guilty and decides that he must fix everything. He goes to the hotel to apologize to Jamie, but to his shock, he discovers that she really is cheating on Todd with Chad, her own relative. This time, Donnie secretly records them on his phone so he will have proof. When he confronts Jamie, she offers him a huge amount of money to stay silent and not tell Todd anything. Donnie accepts the deal and takes $50,000 so he can save himself. But afterward, guilt overwhelms him, and he decides that he has to save his son and tell him the truth. He rushes to the wedding ceremony, which has already begun, and tells Todd that Jamie is cheating on him with Chad. This time, Jamie confesses everything in front of all the guests, ruining the wedding completely. Todd also admits that his father is alive and tells everyone that Donnie is actually his father. He says he will not continue the marriage and that he would rather leave with the father he is finally proud of. Jamie tries to attack Todd, but Donnie smashes a bottle over her head and knocks her unconscious. Once again, Donnie is left without any money. Later, they organize a farewell party for Donnie because he is finally going to prison. Todd tries to convince him to take the money and pay his taxes, but Donnie refuses, saying that for the first time in his life, he needs to face the consequences of his actions. Suddenly, Donnie's lawyer friend arrives and tells him to turn on the television. The race Donnie had bet his last $20 on is still happening, and the contestant he chose actually has a chance to win. If that happens, Donnie will win $160,000 because the odds against that contestant were extremely high. And amazingly, the contestant wins the race. Everyone is left speechless as Donnie receives the prize money and pays off all his debts and taxes. Because of this, Donnie avoids prison and finally gets a second chance to rebuild his relationship with his son. If you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any new content we upload.